I am Andrew
That's what I love.
Mr. Mallard. And join me as always, Mr. Chief of Morale himself, Bud Copeland. Bud, how are you this evening before we do this?
So the point being is, good golfers are a fucking dime a dozen, and we saw it in full swing that the line of demarcation between.
Here, are you ready, Bud? Are you ready for the players? Are you ready to make money? Are you ready to try to beat me?
I didn't do my homework this week.
Welcome, man. After a week off, we are back here on Divots and Pivots, part of the Fantasy Sports Corporation. And because I know this is exactly what all of you guys are watching us to hear about, I'm going to hit you off with the big breaking news here in the New England area. The Massachusetts Patriots are moving to the Songus Arena in Lowell, the Indoor Football League football team. I know Bud's all excited about that, but I just thought that would be fun to start it off with. How are you, Bud?
Who the fuck are the Massachusetts Patriots? What have I been missing?
They're an indoor football league, so they've been in Worcester for the last 8 years, 7 or 8 years. I'm still what I call born again New England. I don't know much about the local geography. I have to go to Lexington a couple times a week, but other than that, I don't know much about the state. I got a good buddy out in Worcester. No, that's exciting news. I thought you were going to jump right into Frog Nation, but we'll hold off on that. No, we're going to hold. That's a bigger story. This was
bigger story. It's the story.
I grew up in Lowell, so it was fun. Whenever I saw the promotional video of moving to Lowell, I was like, well, that's strange. And then
what's the minor league team there? Is this I'm gonna do this much.
There's no minor league team in Lowell anymore at all for any sport.
I thought it was the Spinners.
So there was until a couple of years ago they disbanded because the whole MLB minor league system had went through a reduction inside. They reduced teams across the whole country, I believe. I want to say that was probably 5 or so years ago now. Yeah, it's a shame because the Lowell Spinners were a ton of fun to go to, and the Lasher Park there is a great park to see a game at. So that's just UMass Lowell baseball there now is who occupies that. I think they still do concerts there every now and then too. And then there's no hockey minor league team anymore. We used to have the Lowell Lock Monsters, and then it became the Lowell Devils for a while. But we haven't had a hockey team in Lowell for a long time. And I mean, luckily we have UMass Lowell hockey is. Usually a top team, top 25 team in the nation. So that's fun.
Are they part of the Beanpot 4?
No, because they're not in what's considered Boston. So, but they went to the Frozen Four for the whole Nationals. What was that? Probably 10 years ago now.
People are going to tell me to turn to my New England card that I didn't know who the Beanpot 4 were. No, actually, now that you mention it, a buddy of mine who owns that. A minor league team, or it's not a minor league team. It's a summer wooden bat league team.
Oh, one of the Cape Leagues?
It's not the Cape League. It's actually it's like the Northeast League or whatever it is, but it's in Central Mass. The minor league baseball Hall of Fame or whatever is that their league's baseball Hall of Fame is there. It's fun. Savannah Bananas coming to pretty soon. That's going to be exciting news.
Yeah, those tickets are going to sell out in about 2 seconds, and they're going to go for a ridiculous amount of money. So as much as I'd love to see them, I'm not going to see them.
They've already sold out. The bots have got them, and I think the Russians are going to end up taking most of the tickets. This got off to a really rocky start. I'm being thrown by this new visual setup. I don't hate it. I enjoy it. I like it. But it's definitely throwing me off a little bit here. So when you said local sports story, I thought you were talking about my Ponte Vedra Sharks. I don't know if you heard about these boys down in Florida. So
why would that be local for me? I don't know nothing about Florida.
I am. Well, it's local for me. I'm actually. I have
You're so vain.
Right here. Damn right. First time playing 17 at Sawgrass, score 3.
We can, with this new camera zoomed in, we can see it better than we did last 2 weeks
ago.
There
you go. That's why we did it. We made the switch. So I grew up down in Florida, and as a matter of fact, minor league hockey, we had the Tallahassee Tiger Sharks when I was in high school. So that's what we would go do is just, if we could get tickets, or if one of our friends' parents' companies had a box or something like that, we'd go and just wait for the fights. It was awesome.
Yeah, me and the boys have already said that with this Lowell Indoor Football League, we're gonna be since we grew up in Lowell, so we're buying season tickets immediately. We're gonna rent a box for the first game and have a blast with it. Because why not?
I want to be there. I would love to come. I could not.
You'll be invited.
I would love nothing more than to go hang out with a bunch of good old boys from Lowell.
You know what's funny? The first thing I did was, are they hiring? I went online and looked if they were hiring. I was like, oh, we'll see if I can get a job with them. It'd be fun.
That's fair. But before I was going to Tallahassee Tiger Sharks games, I grew up in Jacksonville, south of Jacksonville is Ponte Vedra Beach. That's where TPC Sawgrass, the PGA Tour headquarters, and their local high school golf team, the Ponte Vedra Sharks, are going for their 7th consecutive high school state title down in Florida this week. So our thoughts and prayers to the Sharks and Shark Nation, because apparently they didn't kick as much ass in the regular season and through the playoffs as they have traditionally, but morale is high. Boys are ready to go, and we'll keep you posted on all your Florida High School Athletic Association and indoor football news here on the
Let's go Sharks.
This off season. First of all, how was your Halloween? We took a week off because it was Halloween. We went out here in Salem, and it was batshit crazy. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, when you see the warnings about don't go to Salem, no, it's fun. It's worth it. I mean, it's a vibe. Yeah. You go once if you know. I've
done it once. I won't do it again, but I've done it once.
Yeah, it
was a lot of fun.
It's almost like schlepping down to Foxborough for a game where you're like, all right, you got to be all in for the day. There is no just kind of like sneaking in and sneaking out. You have to just commit. So Halloween was good here. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was good. Got to go. You know, I found it quieter than it was last year. You know,
because everybody was in fucking Salem.
But we did the same neighborhood we did last year, and there was more. Like last year, I remember there's different circles in the neighborhood we went to of houses, and they would like last year they were having like parties out in the street and handing out tacos in a bag and like adult trick-or-treat treats, so little nips and things like that.
Tacos in a bag. You sound like my friend from Minnesota. They're called street tacos. Street tacos. That's what they're called. You're talking about little were they literally handing out bags of like Fritos with chili and cheese? Were they handing out street tacos?
Yeah, they were handing out like the little bags of like Doritos or Fritos. Those are your two options, and they were just throwing taco meat and cheese in there.
Oh, yeah. God, that's
so that was last year.
This needs to be. Oh, so that was last year.
That was last year. So I was using that as like the litmus test. But then this year there was so many houses, and like the neighborhood.
The what test? The what?
The litmus.
Oh, which one? Pick one.
Litmus. It's litmus, right? But it doesn't sound right. Lit with
M.
M.
Okay, yeah. I thought you were saying litness.
I you know what? I might have said.
Let me get a litness.
I might have said litmus the first time, but
you did.
Litmus,
and I'm being a dick tonight. I just took income from a toddler for an hour and just had to sit there.
And then I throw indoor football league at you in Lowell, Massachusetts. But anyways,
I appreciate that.
I found there to be more houses with their lights off this year, which was strange, and there was less people walking around. So look, the kids had fun. Blessed to be able to be with my kids, so that was fantastic. Yeah, it was good. I'm glad you had a good one too. My aunt. So I actually saw a bunch of pictures of Salem on Halloween because my aunt, uncle, and cousin did the night before there. No, sorry, they did the whole day there and then spent that night there at I think an Airbnb right on the water or something. So they looked like they had a blast, but they did the whole dress up like, at noon and walk around all day in their costumes and stuff. So my uncle was Mrs. Doubtfire, so you might have saw him walking around.
This ping answer. This was first of all a gift from my neighbor, but that was my Halloween outfit. I was a golfer, but really I was carrying it around because I was secretly inside. I was like, I hope some teenagers are looking to get frisky. I'm getting old. I haven't beat up a teenager in a long time, or really ever. Over here talking tough. I grew up in a freaking country club. All right, yeah. So Halloween was great, wonderful, grand. Did you hear about the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets quarterback who also plays on the golf team? Did you hear about this?
Not until you texted me about it, and I looked at it. No, I did not hear about this. So inform the audience.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, what is this kid's name? Brown? Wilson. No, where the hell is it? True freshman and quarterback at Georgia Tech, blah, blah, blah.
You might as well throw Colson. Okay.
Colson Brown, Washington. Colson Brown. So Colson Brown is I guess he's a quarterback at Georgia Tech, but he's also, I guess, a preferred walk-on the golf team. Oh. And so a couple weeks ago, Georgia Tech was one of a handful of teams in the East Lake Cup. The East Lake Cup, for the uninitiated, is I'm not going to say prestigious, but it's almost like one of those college basketball tournaments where there's certain invitationals that are a little more kind of, have a little more gravitas to them in the middle of the season versus versus some of the other, like the Cheez-It 4 that's playing in Boca Raton or something like that. Barstool has their one in Chicago next week coming up. That should be interesting. I think my boy Jake Marsh is going to be on the call.
Nice.
Anyway, the East Lake Cup, Georgia Tech was in it, but there was another collegiate tournament going on out west on the Monterey Peninsula at Cypress Point. Cypress Point being that Alistair McKenzie masterpiece. It's one of the most famous courses, in the world. And he also says it's still not his kind of coup de grace, or whatever you want to call it. What are we trying to do here? It's not his masterpiece. But anyway, Georgia Tech was in both tournaments. They didn't have enough players to actually fill the roster out. And, so they called up Colson. Colson, hopped the flight out there, and he got to play Cypress Point. I watched him a little bit on the Golf Channel, had some coverage. And
fun.
Well, and he played. I mean, listen, I'm not going to talk shit. He's a D1 athlete playing two sports. Who am I to criticize? But I will say he bladed the dog shit out of a bunker shot, and it was fun to watch because not only did this thing clear the green, it then cleared like 30 yards of water, landed on the other side.
Oh my God.
In the pine straw. And then when he tried to hit a flop shot back, he just had to concede the hole because they were in match play. So quarterback plays two sports. Not necessarily Bo Jackson, but I thought it was a pretty interesting story, even if it was about the nerds from that trade school in Atlanta.
Well, you don't hear about it all that often anymore, and that's why everyone's so enamored with Shohei Ohtani. I know it's not two sports, but he's playing two positions. Which
I'm picking up what you're putting down
about it. Like, so it's just different. So that's fun. It is a good story. I like it.
Well, you talk to pro athletes because we all talk to pro athletes. Let me rephrase that. Let me rewind.
Let me check my speed dial real fast.
Actually, that's a challenge to you, Andrew. Talk to pro athletes. Yeah. But you hear them in interviews talk about most of them that will say, I want my kids to play multiple sports. I want them to be diversified. Most of the greats, Tom Brady famously got drafted by the Expos, Charlie Ward wins the Heisman at Florida State, and then he forgoes the NFL and goes and plays in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So, really these superstar athletes, Tiger's unique. Everybody thinks that because Tiger did it and did it a certain way, that is the path. No.
Yeah,
there was one single set of cells in the universe that was created for that path, and his name is Tiger Woods. Even Charlie's going to have a different path. Tigre was caddying for his boy this past weekend.
I was just going to bring that up in the fog. You see, that's a pretty cool picture. I don't know if you saw them standing out in the fog in the fairways. That's one that you frame as a dad, I feel like. You know what I mean?
So speaking of parents, diversify your portfolio for your children's sports. Back to Tiger in the fog. It was a cool freak. Could you imagine being one of the other dads? That's actually how some of that stuff actually gets out real quick, right? Because you're over there with your kid, and all of a sudden you kind of look over, and there are certain outline silhouettes. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like, oh, okay, he's here. Have you ever seen Tiger in person?
Not in person, no. I've not had that. And when the chances I've had to talk to professional athletes as well so far, at least in the golf world, for some reason all I do is ask them about silly fashion stuff. Cameron Smith and his hair, Phil Mickelson on what it was like to wear shorts. Like you said that, and it struck me. I was like, every time I've talked to a pro athlete, I've asked them about their clothes, Andrew, or their style.
That's because you're a man of the people, and you want to be as approachable as they are. So. The roommate and I, when we used to live down in Florida in Gaines, Vegas, Ponte Vedra is only probably about an hour and a half away. And so for about 3-4 years in a row, we took advantage of a deal where it was like $100 and you got 2 tickets to any day of the week and a parking pass. And so we would go up and we would camp in St. Augustine, about 45 minutes south, camp on the beach, drive up and go to a round. And it was the first time I ever saw him, was the first time she ever saw him. But we were standing, and I'll never forget, we're standing in between the walkway between the 8th green and the 9th tee at Sawgrass. And 8th is a long par 3, and the 9th is a long par 5. Irrelevant to the story, but I'm just setting the scene. Yeah. And so we're standing there on the pine needles and everything, and you kind of have to time it because his crowd just moves with him. So we had been waiting there for about 3 holes, 3 or 4 groups. You kind of have to stake out your position, and that's just to get like a like, oh my God, there he is.
2-second view as he walks by.
That's it. And it's weird because they almost look like, video game characters in real life. Bryson DeChambeau is a perfect example too. Even after shedding all the weight, if you see him in person, he could have him, Brooks Koepka, they're built like they could have decided to go the other way and played like a contact sport and really done well with it. I wish they would get in the ring for charity. That'd be a lot of fun.
Hey, but it could happen.
It could, but
With Logan Paul promoting it, you never know. That could totally happen.
Tiger walked by. I remember seeing Greg Norman for the first time too. Greg Norman is the size of a freaking door frame. Nick Faldo, these big broad shoulders. And what's funny is these guys are monsters. But then you got guys like Justin Thomas, who's all of 5'4",
or
$150,
Joaquin
soaking
Neiman,
wet.
who's like 5'6" and 175. Like,
I mean, it's. So I mean, the gambit, and then Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus is famously unassuming in size. Speaking of Jack Nicklaus, at the Worldwide Technology Championships, the PGA Tour event that happened last week, which we don't need to go too deep into it because, quite frankly, it depresses me. But if you didn't see Eric Van Rooyen's press conference and the whole story behind that, he has a buddy back home who's battling cancer, and this win for, I guess, like him, his team, the network, the whole, like his whole group of people couldn't have happened at a better time. And he dug deep. I mean, he had to go low on Sunday to do it. And he
went really low.
What did he shoot? 28 on one of his nines.
That's what I was just looking up the exact score, because I forget it, but I remember it being ridiculous.
And he sniped Cooch by a couple strokes to get this win. But earlier in the week, so let's go ahead and dive right into PGA Tour stuff real quick, because we do have a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to TGL and LIV and the other stuff. So let's get business out of the way first. Worldwide Technology Championship down in Mexico. They were at Tiger's course, El Cardinal at Diamante Resorts in Cabo San Lucas. And Kelly Craft is out there on social media talking shit about apparently the PGA Tour needs to do a better job of finding these courses when they set these up. Did you win, bro? Then no, back off. Like, I'm dead serious about that too. Like, you just sound like sour grapes to me when you're like, oh, this course was. Shut up. The course is probably fine, and you're one of 150. Just suck it up. I hate when people make overgeneralizations, or they need to be doing a better job of. Why don't you just say, like Victor Hovland said when they were talking about the Ryder Cup? Listen, I don't like this course. I hate it for stroke play. And he famously was like, I like it for match play, and obviously his play showed. So they're down there, Worldwide Technology Championship. And earlier in the week, they're doing some charity event, and J.R. Smith, who is now playing college golf at North Carolina A&T, I want to say, don't quote me on that, but he went back to school and he joined the golf team. It's a great story, but he was on a team with Jack Nicklaus, and Jack sank a putt to like win the match at the very end. There's a really great video of the two of them embracing. So it was a warm scene, but also Jack kind of revealed that he hasn't touched a golf club or swung a golf club since, I guess, the first tee shot at the Masters, which to me is sad, because the way he was talking about it is essentially like, listen, it's almost like it's not fun for me anymore. He's like, I lose more balls. I run out of balls. Like, he's like, it's hard for me to break 90. And so I tell my wife all the time, I want to touch a golf club every day of my life. And I kind of want to die with one in my hand, if I could go out my way. Right. But Jack, nice to see him, and it is, so it's going to get to the point where he might have to famously write a letter to Augusta and say, gentlemen, I appreciate it. It's been the honor of a lifetime, but I got to step up. It's all starting to sink in that era is going to come to an end. We got Tiger about to come back, and he's looking strong. He's going to be back for the Hero World Challenge. Now people are like chirping, like, we haven't seen him like this, blah blah blah. And how many comebacks has Tiger had? I believe it though, because he himself is even saying, I feel great. Like, the ankle's fine. He's like, there's some other areas I'm still tweaked up on. But everything else is good to go. So, I mean, it's hard to watch Jack at these things, but it was good to see him kind of with that moment. And last, but certainly not least, 17-year-old kid was in the field, Billy Davis. He's like the number 2 ranked junior in the country. His twin sister, Anna Davis, won the Augusta National Women's Amateur a couple of years ago, and he made a run into the U.S. Junior this year, into the semifinals. But they're both going to Auburn next year. So War Eagle, Worldwide Technology, look up the Eric Van Rooyen story. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, to clean up a few things, Eric Van Rooyen, 28 on the back 9. So that's when you talk about going low. Yeah, he went freaking low. And then quick question to you, because you brought up as always happens, as you're spinning fast.
An astute observation.
There's nothing but questions rolling through my mind. So what
do you do with your life?
You mentioned Jack, possibly getting to that point of hanging up the whole ceremonial tee shot and whatnot. And does that just end once those guys are done with that? Do they just end that, or do you think they replace with a new generation of ceremonial tee shots? Because
always.
So so you think that it feels like it was for so long it was, you know, Arnie, Jack, and whatnot, that it's just
See, and that's funny because I grew up with Sam Snead and and Byron Nelson and you know those guys, and so I see where you're coming from. Where every you know it almost feels like every generation, but you also got to remember we're not unique. The sport's been around for 160 years.
sure.
And let me ask you this: do you see a universe where Tiger Woods doesn't hit an opening ceremonial tee shot?
Oh no, so I see a universe
Actually,
where
he
he
might say
does.
no. He might say no. He might be the
So
kind
he
of guy
might
who's like, I
say
can't.
he might say no, but he's also not at that point where he's doing that yet. So it's more so my question of is, I guess, no one jumps out from the following generation that would kind of qualify for that ceremonial tee shot that like really jumps out as like a no-brainer to do it. You know
Oh,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
Obviously Gary and Jack and Arnold, like those were like staples.
Jordan Spieth's on the short list.
Well, yeah, but he's not taking that anytime soon. I'm talking like now. Like if Jack is like done after one more ceremonial
Freddie
tee shot,
Couples.
like okay, Freddie Couples fair. I'd be fine with Freddie Couples doing that. Yeah, 100%.
Freddie Couples going to be on there. Nick Faldo is going to be on there. He's got three jackets. Famously over Norman in '96, which is one of the great collapses of all time, and now we just call it karma.
Yeah. And now Norman will never get that ceremonial shot.
No, and Greg Norman doesn't want it. He's I think he genuinely.
I call bullshit.
No, I'm saying like I think he's convinced himself and moved on with life when it comes to Augusta National and the Masters. Look, he made his deal. He made his bed, and I'm glad you went there because it's time to pivot to LIV. He made his deal. He figured it out, and he is. I don't think obviously he. By the way, he changed. He did change the game. He did impact the game. LIV. Anybody who says that it had no impact is just head in the sand, and you are beyond a cultist for the PGA Tour. I mean, that's coming from this guy. So
yeah, we've always been pretty upfront about our views on that. That it's not that it didn't change anything. It's
there's just personality difference in how people were carrying themselves. Even the formatting and everything was kind of intriguing. Although I really like what TGL is doing. But
we'll get there.
Yeah. So Greg Norman created a universe where he no longer needs Augusta National. I mean, he's got his Open Championships. He was world number one for like a record before Tiger came along. He did have some of the most famous close calls in history. So like it or not, you're going to be, you know, it's like Buffalo Bills. Would you rather be the Buffalo Bills or have never gotten there at all? I mean, please.
No, yeah, I get it because I do agree with you that it's probably I'd rather be there.
I beg somebody to make an argument against, you know, in the other side. I would love to hear a rational one and not just a naysayer because I can make the argument. I just don't believe it. You know,
you can definitely make an argument. Yeah, no, I think I'd fall and still wanted to be there. I mean, especially as a Patriots fan now, like I'd give anything just to be in the playoffs again, and that ain't gonna happen. So I get it.
Because I mean, even you could do the adage of would you rather like know all the numbers of the Powerball but guarantee that you can't get the actual Powerball, so you just get like a big jackpot, but you don't get like the biggest one, the Powerball, knowing that all you like. I don't know. Being runner up is
with money. I'd still take some jackpot.
Speaking of money, so LIV, Greg made his bed. He's going to sleep in it. He's going to have his legacy be LIV, and LIV did impact the game. Unfortunately, again, like kind of like with Phil. Phil's over here saying like, I'm glad I was able to shake up things on the PGA Tour. And we're going to remember TMRW Sports. We're going to remember TGL. And we might be remembering the Fenway group coming in and sniping this deal. We'll get to that in a couple minutes, but back to LIV, LIV proper. So to your question about Greg, he doesn't need the fucking first tee shot in his brain. In our world, it's way much more coveted, but he doesn't live in our reality. He does live in a different actual reality than we do. We could be in the same room together and we're not in the same reality. So, whatever, he's going to be fine. And they're having their qualifier. Did you see their relegation? So they do have relegation.
Which I'm glad they do because we talked about that early on as feeling like that's the only way that it's going to develop into progressing to something more. So I'm glad they went there because I think that adds. It's weird to say. I think that adds a slightly more level of legitimacy to it. If that sounds crazy or not, but like the fact that that's part of it now, I think changes the ways it can be looked at.
No, I don't think that's crazy at all. That's actually, I'm sitting over here, puckering my lips about to take a big old bite of crow because we still have a long way to go with these negotiations. And here's the thing: if they fall apart, then we're back to where we were a year ago, where we got this LIV entity and we've got its backers with just sacks and sacks of cash. So, I mean, I'm not dead yet. It's really not dead yet. I know I've put it in the ground a couple times saying like LIV's not going to be around in a year. And I still stand by that. I mean, I don't think it'll make it past its 24 schedule. Hell, I don't know if it's going to make it into it, but
or at least on the same level that it is now.
But to where we are right now today, yeah, I'm back. I'm not back on board. I was never kind of off board, like you said. I'm kind of like, damn, this is legit, and it's a big deal. So if you don't know what we're talking about, LIV Golf is somebody call marketing though, because LIV Golf Promotions. Okay, LIV Golf Promotions is the name of their basically Q School event. So for the uninitiated, LIV Golf famously just kind of came out of thin air, envelopes and conversations, and you get tapped on the shoulder and a bag of cash is at your office.
They're leaning into the whole Premier League European athletics like setup, because that's what they call when a team they get promoted
or relegated.
Exactly. Yeah, they're leading into it. It does sound weird. But
it sounds like a marketing wing. It just that's my only criticism of it. So anyways, LIV Golf Promotions is going to be it's going to be a multi-day event in December. And this is again back to what I was saying, where it started with secrecy and kind of quiet conversations and secret invitations, and that was some of the criticism. And looking back on it, it's like, well, how the fuck else were they going to get started?
Well, yeah, I don't really blame them for that.
Actually, now that I'm saying that, they really could have just done this to begin with and say, hey, we're starting this company. But you don't do that. You have to start with some capital and some seeds and all that kind of stuff. So you have to get your talent up front. I see all those guys coming back.
Well, they were looking to blow the doors off immediately, and they could have went this route, and it would have taken a few years to get some stars there. But they were looking to freaking blow everyone away right away.
So, and also part of the reason they got rejected for official World Golf Ranking points, because remember they applied for those in July 22, was because their lack of this relegation system that they've instituted, which I'm a big fan of. And essentially, it's like the top 24 are kind of, I think it's like, or 48, there's like 14. So the 14, there's 12 teams, but there's 14 team captains. Riddle me that. The 14 team captains are guaranteed their spot for next year. And then it's like the top 24 finishers after that, which would be half of the field technically, are guaranteed a spot. And then everybody after that is essentially kind of like a free agent. You can be invited to come back if you want, but you're not necessarily guaranteed a spot. And then there's the bottom 4 or bottom 3 that are just gone. See you later. You have to, you are not welcome back this year, but you are welcome to go to this LIV Golf Promotions event. And it's going to be 3 rounds. And in the first round, to be eligible for that, essentially, it's kind of like to get an invite to Augusta National. It's all the amateur winners, all the amateur runner-ups. There's the NCAA champion, the Eisenhower Trophy, which is one of those amateur world events. And then a bunch of these, leading top 25 players from the world rankings and yada, 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 Sunshine Tour. So there's a bunch of these kind of like out there positions that, if you're in one of those, you're more than welcome to apply and, try to come play in this. Then the top 20 finishers, from that go on to round 2. They are joined by another wave of folks, which are going to be just kind of a step above, if you're eligible for the Ryder Cup, if you've won a PGA Tour event, the winners instead of just the amateurs. That crew who's eligible can apply to come and play. And famously, recently the PGA Tour said, go for it, guys. Like, if they blessed this event, because what they said was, it's not a competing like series of events, which is that's the kind of that language that they use in their player contracts. If you go play in one of these kind of competing series of events, then you are ineligible for PGA Tour. But they just said, no, this is a one-day tournament. Like, go for it. And I think that's big of them, because they also are saying, what it means though if you win and you're over there. Like, you can't ride two horses with one ass there. So you got to choose one. But I think it is good for them, and it's a sign of that whole kind of collegiality that's going on with the negotiations. And then so they're joining those top 20 after 2 rounds, go on to round 3, and from there it is individual stroke play. And then from there, it's like the top 3 finishers are guaranteed their spot on a LIV team, and they're going to be joined by, this is kind of a out there one, the top earner from all the other tours that they're like PGA Tour, Australasia, Sunshine Tour, those kind of global events that they were trying to shoehorn official world golf ranking points.
Yep.
And that's going to be Andy Ogletree because he won a couple of times over on the PGA Tour Asia. So LIV's doing it. I don't hate it. I'm not fully on board because I don't know how long it's going to last, but it'll be interesting to see who goes. I got a feeling the kind of the social side of it, the cultural side of it is going to be way more interesting than the actual competition.
No, I agree. And this promotional event sounds like they're doing this right, in my opinion. Like this sounds like a way like where they're the change in format and the switching the format midway through and having each day be its own kind of like, ramifications instead of like this makes sense for a promotion type event. And like once again, we're saying promotion as in like being it like vying to qualify, basically a qualified.
That's the problem I have with it. It's fucking confusing.
Yeah, but this feels right, and this feels okay with me. And you're right. This can bridge that gap for some of the PGA players who maybe want to get a taste of LIV, but aren't sure if they want to do that. Because hey, anybody, like you said, anybody can they can go and choose to try to be promoted and qualify for it. They could also choose to do that to get a taste of it and then not try their hardest to make sure they don't win and have to do that and lose their PGA stat. You know what I mean? So it kind of opens the door for guys to get a taste, and it's not, once again, not bad for the sport. I don't think, and this is not bad for the sport. This promotion event, like, I don't think this is. I don't think any of it's bad for the sport. The media coverage and the jarring back and forth and the drama, that was bad for the sport. But the core of LIV and what they're doing with the actual game of golf, it was just different in a trial. And they're trying something new, and I'm not going to hate on them trying something new. It's everything else that I hated on.
I'm obsessed with Peaky Blinders right now.
Such a good show. I've watched it all.
I'm 5 seasons in. I just started the 6th season, and this to me reminds me of whatever Jimmy McCracken or whoever was the guy from Glasgow, him and the Billy Boys, when they had to kind of call a truce, but the entire time they were just sitting there saying like, when this truce is over, I'm going to kill you first. That's what it feels like with this kind of framework agreement going on. Like it's all fun and games, but once this is over, and that's where I think the Fenway Group and this TGL move is starting to make things a little more interesting. And that's why this decision to kind of be like, all is well, everything's fine. I'm not so sure. So let's get a taste from Underdog Fantasy. Speaking of tasting things, since you're all about tasting things tonight.
You've read my mind, sir.
Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever, and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use the promo code DIVPIV to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
Yes, let's get into the Fenway Group because there's so much to
Hold on.
Okay, sorry.
You cut that promo. What did Gingerbread do to you?
I didn't cut it short.
You cut it short before Gingerbread got her good girl.
The you know what, the powers that be who at the Fantasy Sports Corporation must have uploaded a new version because I did not click anything.
Damn, just throwing people under the bus. For the record, I think that the Fantasy Sports Corporation is doing a wonderful job managing these partnerships.
They certainly are. They certainly are.
All right.
You know what? If they cut it short, they cut it short for the benefit of you hearing us more and us getting more screen time.
Maybe Gingerbread passed and it's just a sore subject. God, I hope that's not the case. I don't think
that's the case.
I'm not even Catholic, but I'm going to throw
with all the shows that Gingerbread's on, we would have heard a notification.
Gingerbread we need to have Gingerbread on the show. All right, so TGL update.
Yeah.
Things are getting real. And I like it. And okay. So my biggest criticism this entire time, and was I was like, how are they going to pull this off with the cities? Like, they're not even going to be playing golf in the city. I woke up last week, and I don't think it was 5 minutes of scrolling when I saw that they had announced Boston Common Golf and the
Yep.
Frog and I was already researching merchandise. I'm out there doing social media promos like they're paying me. I am so overwhelmingly excited for Boston Common Golf and this whole thing. And because I was saying it the whole time too. I'm like, outside of merchandise, like who gives a shit? Like why are it's a flag to fly for your city. That's really kind of all it is, because they're not going to be here. But I'll tell you what, I'm all in. I think it's fun. I think it's great. We'll get into the teams in a minute, but what's more fun is, are you caught up on the format? And let's talk nuts and bolts, and then we'll talk humans. Are you caught up on the format and everything? Do you want to educate the crowd, or do you want me to give a quick 101?
I'm caught up, but I know you can educate it better because I tend to get caught up on thoughts. But I will say, just to touch on what you were saying before, I'm also excited. I have felt there's a bit of a cheese factor with some of the looks of things, but you know what? I'm
stinky cheese. I love it.
But I was just gonna say, but I'm kind of here for it. Like it's this weird love of this awkwardness. What I'm cool. I also am curious when you touch on the stage. I'm curious if this means that there'll be some sort of, and I don't think they will, because as we're gonna touch on Rom in a little bit, there's already an added commitment to travel to Florida for this on weeknights. So each week and whatnot. That I would love if the teams did like a promotional event in their, quote unquote, their city. And for instance, like we just now finally got a Top Golf up here outside of Boston and Canton, Massachusetts.
Guarantee you that's happening in the next calendar year. 100%.
I would love to see the Boston Common Golf, Frogs, whatever, Rory and the gang, which I will say, we got ourselves a fucking awesome team. So like that's great, but I would love to see the crew there. Like that'd be an awesome time. Why would they not? You know what I mean? If you're gonna have these guys represent the city, you gotta do a promotional event of some sort. So it would be cool to have Rory. It'd be cool to have Keegan back in his own stomping ground area. Like I'm there for that. That'd be awesome.
Oh, it will be, and it's going to happen. I mean, and you saw, if you were paying attention, you saw what happened today, and we'll get into that in a second. So what they're actually going to be doing. So they're going to go down to South Florida, and they're going to be playing these 2-hour matches. Like you said, ESPN picked up the rights to this. So, I mean, it's getting already it's ahead of LIV because it's got a TV deal.
Is it still Monday nights too, by the way?
It's Mondays and Tuesdays. It fluctuates in there. There's probably a couple of Monday nights that during the playoffs that are still maybe early, because this is January 9th. And so we're still, you still got a couple weeks left of NFL before even.
Yeah, but I think at that point, Monday
it is going to be Mondays and Tuesdays. Though.
I think Monday night games are done at that point. You talk. I'm gonna double check that right now. But
it might be Bachelor too that they don't want to mess with. Who knows? Seriously, dead ass.
Hey, you might be right. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me. But
there's TV shows get moved around for dumber reasons. So they're going to play 2-hour matches, and in those 2-hour matches, it's going to be 15 holes. At first I was kind of like scoffing at it, but then I'm like, why are we married to 18? It wasn't always 18. It was actually the first Open Championships were 36 holes, but it wasn't 2 18 holes. It was 3 rounds of 12. That's neither here nor there. So they're going to be playing 15 hole matches. The front 9 is going to be alternate shot between 3 of the 4 team members. I freaking love that. It's going to be a strategy, and they're going to be under a shot clock. So it's going to be 40-second shot clock. You get 2 timeouts, and you can use them on the front 9, or you can use them on the second 6. The second 6, which is not trademarked by Bud Copeland, but it should be, and they can use it if they want to. They haven't named it that, but I think it's going to end up being called the second 6. The second 6 is going to be individual match play, and even that is going to rotate. So those 3 individuals are then going to go head to head against the other guys. Each one's probably going to play 2 holes. You get a point if you win a hole. No points for ties. If there's a tie after 15, they do have a tiebreaker format. Don't have it in front of me. Don't really care. I believe it has a combination of like closest to the pin, and
I did see that. I'm pretty sure closest to the pin is like the first tiebreaker.
I think that's pretty freaking cool.
Which I love that, because that's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing on all we've brought it before. All the YouTube channels that are doing like good, and Bob Does Sports. Whenever their little matches come to a tie, it's always closest to the pin, and it's phenomenal because they'll do it in different ways. Now, this isn't what the TGL is going to do, but they'll do it in different ways where like the guy who's shooting second can't watch the first guy's shot, and they'll pick up his ball before the second guy shoots, so that you don't know where. Like that's thrilling. That's exciting because we know, but to watch the player, the golfer, not know what the hell's going on, like that's fun. That's entertaining. It adds a weird level of suspense that you wouldn't expect to have. considering
and I'm here for it. So
Yeah.
they get 2 timeouts to use in the first or the second 40-second shot clock. And if you don't get it off in 40 seconds, then Brooks is going to get his wish and everybody gets to start stroking dudes. There's going to be so much homoerotic jokes about stroking guys. Oh, you think stroke? Anyways. So that's the format they're going to play. And if you win your match, you get, it's like, if you win it outright, you get 2 points for scoring for the season long race. You win your match, you get 2 points. If you win in overtime, you get 2 points. But if you lose in overtime, you still get 1 point, which I find kind of like, oh, okay. So there is points for ties. So there's the format and the teams. They just finally rounded it out today. I mean, we already had New York, LA, Miami, Atlanta, Boston, and we just heard that Jupiter, which is the center of the golf universe on the East Coast, that's where they all hang out. I mean, that's where half of them live, and it's not too far from where this stadium's going to be. And so it's going to be a party in South Florida. And I do think that like again, half these guys either already live there or they have houses down there. The other half are going to either buy or just end up being down there quite a bit. You did point out the travel aspect, and I'll say that the players that are playing, most of these guys are flying private anyway.
Sure.
And if they weren't before, then they're all going to carpool now. This thing. I think this thing is going to be a lot of fun. But as you pointed out, that travel aspect. Because they're not necessarily going to come to the cities, but they're going to have to go into South Florida, after these tournaments. And John Rahm said, no mas. He said, he's a Southwest guy. And I think that when he doesn't have to be on the PGA Tour, he wants to go home to Scottsdale. I don't think he's going to LIV Golf. I don't think the conspiracy theorists and all that kind of stuff, he doesn't need that.
I think there's
he's at the money point in life that he is already set, and
I think there's more of I think there's going to be more to drop as far as explaining the personal reasons of not wanting or not being able to give that commitment at that time of year.
I think it was just travel.
I think it's all gonna.
He's got a little one at home, and he's
exactly.
And it's not like it's an opportunity that's not going to come around. He's John freaking Rahm. If he calls Tiger next week and says, "Hey, can I get in next year?" Whatever, they would probably just start doing what LIV did, which is like adding people to a team. That door's
always open. I'm sure. And you know what? Honestly, I'm sure there's going to be a guy or two after this first season who's going to be like, "Nah, I'm fine. I don't want to do this." There's going to be turnover.
Law of large numbers. There's 48 of them. Yeah, I don't think Lucas Glover's going to be long for this game. Although maybe Lucas is going to be like one of those lifers. Who knows? So we got the teams. Jupiter is rounded out. Obviously, Jupiter is going to be Tiger's team. Colin Morikawa is going to be out in the LA team. Justin Thomas has been assigned, drafted. I don't know how this freaking works to the Atlanta Drive. And then
so we're still waiting on New York and San Francisco.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the site. We don't even have a captain for those two teams yet.
No. And I don't even know if Colin and Justin are captains necessarily. I think it's just that they're the first ones who've been assigned because they haven't given any of those kind of like titles or anything like that. I think with Tiger and Rory, it's obvious they own a piece of these teams or somehow. Or they don't even need it because hell, they own the entity that this whole thing's going down with. Yeah. So Boston, you're my home. I love you. Born again New England. And it was great to see that Keegs got assigned here. I think it was a natural fit. What I did find interesting, which I texted you earlier, was that so we got the New England guy from Vermont, and then we got 3 Commonwealth fellows. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, not just the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I'm talking about the Commonwealth, the kingdom countries, those countries that recognize the king, not the queen. King. They're going to outlaw his first big speech. He's going to outlaw smoking in the UK. Good luck.
I didn't even hear that. What?
Yeah, he's going to announce that it's like starting next year, people born after 2009 or whatever can no longer buy tobacco products. Yeah, I don't know.
That's cute that they're going to let him seem like he has some sort of.
It's a little early to be diving into British Parliament politics.
It's also a little late to be diving into banning cigarettes. I'm sorry, it's a little late for that.
But you got Tyrrell Hatton, Adam Scott, and Rory McIlroy, all folks from Commonwealth related countries or crown related countries playing for a team that represents the absolute heart of the revolution, and a big ol' FU to the crown. I think it's fun.
That is fun.
I think it's in Boston Common Golf. It makes sense. You got the frog for the frog pond. The Boston Common is such literally and figuratively, it's symbolic and literal, a communal space. The history that surrounds it, I think, bang up job to the Fenway Sports Group for not only the kind of You are right. It's a little cheese with the green and the frog and everything like that. But I'm kitschy. I'm here. I'm for it. We're talking about a population that brought the Savannah Bananas to #1 on the charts. So I love this Boston Common Golf. Fear the frog. Go frogs. Let's go frogs. Get froggy with. I'm whatever you want to do. I'm here for it. The biggest thing that they did is it's right in the freaking name. Did you see the way they used Fenway Park for this rollout? I'm trying to put my finger on the fact that they hosted it there. They had locker rooms set up for these guys. They walked in and they had, draped it off and everything. So it looked like these 4 lockers.
That's funny. I'd seen the pictures, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together that they were at Fenway.
Because then they spent the rest of the day. They did an event with like the local First Tee folks, I think. And then, they did a whole day of events there. They had Rory and the guys out there throwing pitches.
Do they do that hand in hand with when they do that golf event once a year at Fenway, where they set up like 3 or 4 holes that you hit tee shots from like the stand?
Well, they did that used to be Top Golf, literally the brand Top
Golf.
But
they've now
coming back. No, it wasn't in conjunction with that. This was bigger than that.
This was something. Okay.
This was, they did a really good job, and they decked out the scoreboards and all with the green and the frog and stuff, and it was just cool to see. It answered my question. How are they going to get a fan base to connect with this team that's never actually going to play the sport in the city? And I was like, well, okay. And so I'm excited to see what the other cities do. With Atlanta, there's so many options. You could go straight up golf and be like, we got East Lake right down the street, or do they take a page out of what happened with, Boston, and do they try to go with, the new Atlanta stadium that's on the north side of the city, or do they go to like the Olympic Stadium downtown? How do they tie that in? New York, the same kind of thing. You're not going to go out to the Meadowlands for this. So what is that iconic thing downtown New York City that they're going to try to surround, that cultural icon that the fan base is going to be like, I recognize that, because that's what I was glued to the entire time, how they were able to take Fenway Park and use it as their kind of, figuratively and literally, it's the team clubhouse now. Like that's what everybody's going to associate with. And clubhouses in golf are famous. And I mean, if they're not already thinking about, the best clubhouse in golf, like all that kind of stuff, I thought it was really, really good. And I mean, this is definitely coming from a Boston fanboy. I'm not hiding that at all. But from an academic standpoint, I think it's interesting to see, like, how do you do that down in Jupiter? Because nobody knows fucking Jupiter, Florida. So do you go to Tiger's restaurant? Like,
only golf guys know Jupiter, Florida. No, you know what they might do? Because
actually Jupiter's close enough to the home base. They might go down to the stadium. Sorry, go ahead.
So they could do that, or they could do. I didn't even think about that. They could do the stadium. But isn't Michael Jordan's prestigious club also in Jupiter, or is that it's close enough? It's close enough by where I wouldn't be surprised if they did it there, because I don't know if you've seen pictures or videos of that place. That place is like it's a gem. It's like this technological set up clubhouse that's not like your traditional clubhouses. I could see them kind of doing something in conjunction with Jordan's place there, because that's very exclusive.
If Jordan's invested in this, then yes. If he's not, then no. Because that's also not the kind of clubhouse you rent, but it is the kind of clubhouse you show off if you have.
But it's also Tiger. It's also Michael. Tiger, and people open any door for Tiger.
Michael Jordan wouldn't if he didn't want to. They're close, they're friends, but you're talking when you say it's Tiger, it's Michael. Like it's the
that's a fair point. Yeah.
But I do like that idea. And when I'm saying, like, what are these cultural icons? Michael Jordan is that cultural icon, and and maybe he wants to showcase the Grove a little bit, kind of maybe get a wink, wink, nod, nod. I've definitely seen pictures of it. I remember when it opened up, reading stories about it, and if you haven't, go on YouTube and just look up guys who go through who get a chance to play there, and they go through the pro shop, and they've got the Jordan, the Jordans, all different sizes, brands. I mean, everything is just decked out.
There's this whole lore about it. Like it's like this mythical place, it seems.
Well, there's only 100 members, and it's guys like Phil. I don't know if Phil's still a member. They didn't kick Phil out. It's like Phil Mickelson, Ricky Fowler, Denny Hamlin, the race car driver. So I mean, it's people of that caliber, celebrity status, whatever you want to call it. Obviously it's invite only, but also the course, the layout. There was the interview with Ricky Fowler where he talked about how the pros call it Slaughterhouse 23 because he designed it or he made sure that it was designed to cater to his game. A guy who's pumping it to 70, 80, something like that. Not these guys bombing it out there 350.
Sure.
And so, like Ricky's saying, I either have to lay back and then, I'm having to give this guy strokes, and he's no joke, from 200 in, or I have to, take the risk. And so Slaughterhouse 23 could be on the menu. I think that would be kind of a cool idea. Of course, we want it for fans, but that course specifically too, it changes the layout every day. It was designed in these kind of loops of 3 holes. It was designed for betting. It was essentially designed for betting, but they print new scorecards every day. They have different layouts. I mean, somebody out there smarter than I can probably mathematically tell you how many potential setups they have in an 18-hole course with multiple sets of tees. Grove 23 could be that kind of iconic space. You watch, Trump's going to try to get them to come out to Mar-a-Lago.
He's 100% going to make the call. 100%.
Greatest people, golf people.
There's no way he doesn't make the call.
I've been working on my Donnie.
And we got 10 minutes left here, and you said the word invite, and once again it triggers something in me that I don't know how we haven't touched on yet, because it was big news last week in the golf world, and Annika Sorensen getting invited membership to the Masters at Augusta.
She's getting a green jacket.
Obviously Condoleezza Rice, was the big one a few. How many years ago was that now? It feels
2012.
Wow, is that long ago? It feels more recent than that. So 2012. This is another big step, because Annika is so much more ingrained in modern golf and the way it's consumed. Though she's on YouTube, she's involved obviously with the LPGA, and she's involved now with the PGA and on many levels. Like she's not like behind the scenes getting an invite. She's very much at the front of golf right now, and to getting the invite. Like this is a big step for, I guess, moving forward for Augusta, if that's the right way to put it.
In the evolution of the game, I agree with you that it's a big step. And in the evolution of the game, no disrespect to the founders, there were 13 founders for the LPGA Tour, and it's the stories are, if you've never seen those stories or seen the documentaries, you should check it out. The grit and the grind that these ladies went through to pave a path for professional golf is, I mean, it's the kind of stuff that there should be more movies about. But as far as you want to talk about like the evolution and the timeline, those founders were much more like the old Tom Morris and, that generation, that era. Annika is the Jack Nicklaus for the women's game, and somebody like a Nelly Korda, or even maybe Rose Zhang, a little more topical, or even just like Jin Young Ko or Lydia Ko. One of them, they're more of like that. I'd say like Phil and Freddie Couples. I don't know if they have a tie. I don't know if they have a tiger. I don't know if they have a successor to Annika just yet. They've had some women go on some magnificent runs. But we're talking about literally a Jack and Tiger. So Annika's Jack in Augusta saying, come on in, on the heels to her. She's the first tour pro. Like you pointed out, they broke the gender wall, back in 2012 with Condi Rice and somebody else who I can't remember her name. And it eludes me every time, but there was 2 of them who got invited at the same time. This is Augusta National kind of tipping its cap to the women's game in a competitive nature, not just kind of symbolic or, political or societal. In having an LPGA Tour legend, become a member and have a green jacket walking around on the heels of this Augusta National Women's Amateur that is quickly becoming, a prestigious event in the women's game for obvious reasons. Yeah. I do think it was a phenomenal day in golf and in sports. And it's really cool to see Annika, as you pointed out, she came of age just before social media. Yeah. And so it's similar to where these kids nowadays who grew up with LeBron go back and watch videos of Michael, or even go watch videos of like Kareem and Magic in the 80s, that kind of stuff. This exposure is wonderful, and it's inspiring, and to see that, it warmed my heart, and it's going to be really cool to see. You want to talk about somebody that might be taking a ceremonial tee shot before this thing's all said and done. I could see that happening.
That'd be awesome. That'd be great. And look, Annika is, I don't know if you've seen some of her use. I take in a lot of golf content on YouTube. I just do. It's
as long as it's not instructional.
No, it's all entertainment. But she's gotten herself on a lot of channels in the past year, and she's schooling these guys and girls much younger than her. She's still schooling them. She's an absolute legend at the game. So this is awesome. I love this for the sport. You want to talk about moving the sport forward. Like this is the type of move that moves the sport forward. It's the type of move that caters to a new audience, or an expanded audience, I should say. Not a new audience, but an expanded.
Dude, I used to have a little crush on Annika back in the day. I'm not gonna lie. It absolutely, you know, obviously I was young when she just walked away. I think it was 2008, 9, somewhere in there, and decided to go have kids and kind of be a mom and do that thing. And I was young, 20 something years old. And of course I was like, I didn't understand it at all, but yeah, I've been a big fan of Annika Sorenstam for a long time. So shouts to Madam 59 for getting that invite. I mean, I say shouts like it is an achievement. It's kind of did you ever watch A Beautiful Mind?
Yes. Oh, what an amazing movie.
The closing scene made me cry the first time I saw it. And now it gives me goosebumps and maybe a tear here and there, depending on if I've been drinking, which I haven't. The scene at the end with the pens, when everybody walks up and they start putting the pens down, you know, and if you haven't seen the movie, famously John Nash is sitting there and they're in the faculty lounge and everything. And it's a sign of respect from your fellow faculty. And they walk up and they pull a ballpoint pen out or whatever. They put it on the ballpoint. They put their pen down. It's like a gesture. You're one of us. Because you talk about the players that, you know, I think Jack and Arnie are the only players to actually have official memberships at Augusta. You know, champions get honorary memberships. And I don't believe Tiger's a member yet. That's another one of those like foregone things.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is kind of that level of, you know, hey, this is what we think of you. This is how we want to show our gratitude and appreciation for everything that you've contributed to the game. And so there are going to be people out there who would absolutely be talking shit about us, being like, oh my God, it's not that big of a deal, or pretentious, like, oh, well, it took them 80 years to come around. It was the, oh God. What the chairman
yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, the chairman who actually invited Condi Rice, and I can't remember his name. It's not Fred Riley because it's not the guy now, but it was the previous one. Will you look it up? Please. who was the Augusta National Chairman in 2012? But Billy Payne. I want to say it was Billy Payne. Please tell me I'm right.
Oh shit, hold on.
Oh God, this is so Billy Payne.
Billy Payne, you're right. It's Billy Payne.
Okay. So when Billy Payne made the announcement, he basically the gist of his comments were, you know, sometimes in life you have to just, you know, you realize that you do something and you sit there and you say to yourself, why didn't we do this sooner? Yeah. He's like, that's what this is. He's like, I don't know what else you want from us, you know, and it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to thrive. And I do think you're going to see some more kind of cool gestures like this in the sport of golf, including and then you take us home in a couple of weeks. We're going to have the Grant Thornton Invitational, which is that co-ed. What is this fucking summer camp? 57 minutes in the Grant Thornton Invitational, where you saw the commercials with Tony Finau and Nelly Corda are going to be on a team. I am all here for that, and I can't wait to see how that rolls out. I can't wait to see the Hero World Challenge with Tiger back on there swinging a club. I can't wait to see the parent-child PNC Championship in December, and that's going to lead us right into the holiday season, bowl season. Before you know it, the TGL is going to be teeing off. Let's go Frogs.
It's coming, just like the holidays sneak up on us once November starts. It's all gonna come fast here. We're excited for it. What?
You and coming fast.
Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna put that on my.
This is not a lover's quarrel.
Anyways, look, that's gonna do it for us here. Little housekeeping
forever.
Here. No, you can't do that to me. Little housekeeping here. We're gonna have one, maybe two more shows for you within this calendar year. We're gonna take a little break, reset, and then we'll be for the holidays. We'll be coming back to you after the holidays in January. So just don't be surprised. We'll be talking about that more in the coming weeks. But a little housekeeping just to keep you all informed. I am Andrew LeDuc, aka Mr. Mallard. This guy right over there. Reverse freaking camera. This guy over here is Bud Copeland, Chief of Morale at This Buzz for you. Check out his Instagram reels. You can find them on Facebook as well. His daily morning ritual at this point is fantastic. Catch him. Hey, every now and then he gets a share and a comment from a pro that he's talking about, so it's good shit. Get in there, listen to it.
Land the plane.
This is what I'm known for. We love you all. See you next week. Enjoy.